we begin, I'd like to acknowledge that this podcast is being recorded on Yagara and Turrbal country in Meganjin, Brisbane. My name is Kwanreuthai and I'm a Wiradjuri Welwyn person from Central West New South Wales mob, and I'm a PhD candidate at the University of Queensland. Today I'd like to introduce Tasha, who's agreed to come onto this podcast to have a yarn with us about her experiences working in research. Thanks, Tash, for coming on.
Thanks, Cara. My name's Tasha-Jade Cole. I'm a Luritja woman from Central Desert. I grew up on the Rakia country in Darwin, and I'm a project officer for the out-of-home care study in the First Nations Cancer and Wellbeing research program.
So what inspired you to pursue a career in health research?
There was not really a specific moment that inspired my health research career, but from a young age, I've always really liked helping people, whether that be people or animals. I wanted to be a veterinarian at one point, and then it grew into, I guess, more wanting to help people in the community. And in high school, I always wanted to get into nursing when I finished. So when I left school, I just wanted to work for a little bit. I got offered 2 different traineeship opportunities, and that was a Cert 3 in business at Commonwealth Bank, or Cert 3 in lab skills at Menzies School of Health Research. And I think it definitely aligned a lot more in the Cert 3 lab skills. Even though it was in the lab, I think I just knew that it would be more versatile and what I'd be able to learn within the health research aspect. And I think I knew I would be a lot more supported within my nursing career at Menzies. I think I didn't know much about research as well when I started at Menzies, and as I learned more in the areas that I was in melioidosis, and then I worked for BMRMA, which is the Indigenous unit helping with a traineeship program, and then I went on to move to Brisbane and got the opportunity to be able to work for Gail Garvey and Kate Anderson in the What Matters to You study. And that was really exciting because I got to facilitate yarning circles for young mob and got to speak to them about what wellbeing meant to them and makes a good life for them. And we did that through a photo voice method. So that was photo yarning, which was really exciting. And I think particularly through the What Matters to Youth, it's really made me quite passionate about wanting to stay in health research. And I think there is a lot of negative things about research that can, specifically around First Nations research, because us mob have been, research for so long, and there's a lot of trust loss. I'm grateful that I get to create a space where I know that I can do it in a safe way, and hopefully, people feel comfortable around me. So that's sort of where I'm at the moment.
No, thank you for sharing. That's really inspiring, actually, that you went from a lab-based environment to qualitative research. What was that transition like for you?
To be honest, I actually didn't reflect until I got here, until I sort of halfway through the What Matters to Youth and halfway through living in Brisbane. I'm wow, yeah, I've had a really big journey now.
Yeah, since you were in lab coat, now you're yarning with kids. It's real different.
Yeah, but I think that's what I've really enjoyed, and that's why I've stayed in research as long as I have, is because I've been given so many good opportunities, and the mentors I've had throughout, whether they're my managers at the time or just mentors around the workplace, have really helped shape me into who I am. So I am very grateful. I had a mentor in the lab that was, someone that supported me through my lab traineeship, and she made me see the positives in so many things. And Mark Mayo, who was the lead of the melioidosis team, he started as an Aboriginal trainee 20 plus years before me, or
you could see a role model in that environment.
He was a really good role model, and he really helped shape me into moving out of that young phase, and that was my first full-time job. So I think it was really a safe environment. And then working for BMRMA just helped me see how much I loved working with young mob, because we were working with the young trainees, but would also do talks and bring in mob from school and talk about what we do at Menzies. So did a lot of presentations and did a lot of workshops with youth in that area as well. So very lucky to have had that experience.
That's so deadly. So what are some of the cultural values or teachings from your community that have guided you towards this career in health research? I know you've talked a little bit about, always wanting to help others and aspiring to be a veterinarian, and then now you're studying nursing. Where does your cultural values and being community grounded come into that?
Growing up in a place like Darwin, it is such a small place, and that's like the sense of community there is very big. Like you know half of the people in Darwin, and like if you don't know that person, you know someone they know. And I think growing up around close to family and always having family around, and even just watching family and the things that they go through in their own lives and their own health issues, and just even watching community members go through things, and yeah, how the impact can be made. And especially in Darwin, I feel like it's just like a different way of living. Not that like we're different to the city, but the way we connect is just so different. It's more like community on the ground. Like I think that's what's kept me grounded while being in Brisbane. Like I feel like Brisbane's an in-between of city country, but even through the studies that I've worked in at Menzies, a lot of it is facilitating yarning circles out in like, you know, whether it's in Queensland, down in Victoria, like Tasmania, like I've been given like really good opportunities. Like we've gone down to Newcastle, down to Maitland a lot of the time. And I feel really comfortable when I'm in those areas because of how I grew up, and like yarning with mob down those ways just makes me feel like connected to home. Facilitating those yarning circles pushes me to continue my work because I can see like how the young mob respond to us going out there, and they like, you know, sit there and say things like, oh, can you live here? And it's like, you know, like I want to live here. Yeah, I want to see you all the time. But I think that makes me strong and yeah, provides that sense of, you know, value and community to me.
That's so interesting that you say that you have such close connections to the participants in these studies too, because I always find that yarning with mob especially, it's not like that we're treating them like researcher participant. We're really embedded in these communities already, and we make those strong cultural connections that way.
Yeah, I agree. I think an important part I always bring into my work is that sense of connecting with the community, and I like getting them to guide their own stories because research is a very broad area as well, as I've said, ensuring that like, you know, we are being culturally safe and creating a space for mob to be in control of what they're giving us for our research is very important to me, and ensuring we're creating trusting relationships. And sometimes I even forget that like, I'm like, oh yeah, I'm actually doing a job here like this. Yeah. I'm not just here to yarn with you. Yeah. Research is very Western, and connecting it in like, yeah, culturally safe way. So there's so much translation that happens, and for us mob to be able to be at the forefront of research is exciting, and you can see that it's growing a lot more. So
deadly sis. Can you share with me any of your personal or professional goals that you've set for yourself as a health researcher?
That's hard because I think I'm very content with what I'm doing at the moment with like the young mob that I'm working with, but I also know that that's, you know, only for a certain amount of time, and the study will eventually finish because of the past like few years and what matters to youth and what matters to kids that had the privilege of working on. I think it's made me realize how much I want to create long-term programs for young mob in need, or programs for them in general, you know, to support their well-being and to create spaces for them to feel safe and for them to come to and just be able to get together and share with each other and learn and share culture. And I'm very lucky in the space I'm in because I can really access so many people that I can learn from. If I wanted to learn grant writing tomorrow, like I could like ask someone and, you know, they could work out a plan with me to, you know, get me into that. And
you've
like
got really good access to different people.
Yeah, and I feel like that's what I'm grateful for, is that like those are the things that I know that, like, for example, writing grants and getting funding, those are things that I eventually want to get really good at, because it's not that places don't have, you know, programs developed. Like you hear so many, like even I went up to the conference in Sunshine Coast and so many people were talking about the programs they're doing for young mob, but it's not particularly that there's not enough programs, it's that the funding doesn't go for long enough. Like it's a very short term period, and young mob just need that long term that trust and that relationship building.
Yeah,
kind of
absolutely. There's got to be a continuity there of these really supportive programs for wellbeing.
Yeah. So I think that's like where like my passion is and where I want to lead into the future is just like I want to help all mob, but like I think young mob, the next generation, and I feel like you can see that they're very much struggling across, across the country in every state. Particularly I see it up home in Darwin a lot. So I'd love to go back home and make a difference up in, my own community. But grateful that I get to create the space for, young mob to yarn and just share and talk about how deadly they are.
Well, this is what this is for. This is spotlighting how deadly you are, Tash. What would you say to your 16 or 17-year-old self, thinking back to the time when you're just about to start on this traineeship journey and then here you are, staunch, deadly health researcher?
I would just tell myself that, like, it's all going to work out and don't second guess yourself. Like, speak up on what you think is right, that your, like, opinion and values matter just as much as, the person sitting next to you. And I think as a younger person coming into the workplace, I was quite shy and like speaking on how I believed like certain things were, or like, because I walked into certain places and I knew what was gammon and what wasn't. I'm not going to tell you anything because I'm like 18, but I would, just tell myself to, like, if I do have an opinion on something and I, like, not that I have to do it in a mean way, but just speak up on how I feel and if things, because that's how change happens as well, is, speaking up on things. And I would tell myself that, you can speak your mind and, you'll be backed up because you have people around you that will back you up. So I always wanted to move out of Darwin as well from when I was younger, just explore the world a little bit. And I would tell her that she's going to be exactly where she wants to be. So,
Oh, that's beautiful. That's really, really lovely, actually, hearing your reflections. I remember being 16, 17 and, like, not even sure what I was going to do in the future, like, failing in high school. Yeah. And now here I am, like,
it's such a scary, like, 16, 17 is just a, like...
really weird time.
Yeah. You sort of know where you want to go, but then you don't know how you're going to get there or, like, what's ahead of you. Like, you feel like you're still too young to control your life and make those big decisions. So... yeah. It is funny, and it doesn't feel like that long ago, but...
No, I know. Oh, bless.
Yeah, thanks, Cara.
What do you see as the unique challenges and opportunities for mob who are health researchers in addressing the health disparities that are faced by our communities? It's a bit of a hard question coming from such a strengths-based approach.
Yeah, it is. I think when I was looking over this, I kind of reflected a little bit, and I think one of the things that stuck out to me on my personal journey and what I've experienced within my career so far is knowledge translation. Research is a very Western-based method, and the way Indigenous people translate knowledge is very different. It's not through, writing a 100-page paper. It's in storytelling through art, dance, food, just yarning at family barbecues, and I think it's important for researchers that are non-Indigenous that are researching on mob and Indigenous health needs. I feel like the importance of them going into community, like just sitting, like even just sitting, having a cup of tea, like just going out on NAIDOC week, going out on, reconciliation week, or really learning and betting themselves. Not that they have to every single day, go out and sit with an elder, but just if they're wanting to work in those areas, to be very use intention and actually, because that's the way they're going to learn. Like, you can't sit behind and read 5 other people's papers that did their research on Indigenous health needs. Like, you can grasp a certain idea of what that health need is, but to really understand what their living conditions are and what they go through on the day-to-day, you need to go have those yarns and you need to let them be the storytellers, because...
And that's where that Indigenous perspective in research is so important, in my opinion, because we as Blackfellas are seeing all of this stuff. We have the lived experience of all of these health gaps that we're constantly fighting against. And sometimes non-Indigenous researchers aren't fully conceptualizing what that looks like in the real time, and they're just seeing the statistics. And so when we're walking around and taking up positions in these spaces, it's so powerful because it's coming directly from us and it's being fueled by our community.
Yeah. And I think it is exciting because with more mob coming in, going out and interviewing patients, going out and doing surveys, like there's so many different studies out there. So I feel like just creating those, you know, safe spaces for people as well, and allowing people to be like, oh, this person understands me, they get me, like that shared and lived experience is very important. I'm not saying that non-Indigenous researchers shouldn't be doing research in that way, but it's just if they are going to just, wanting to learn.
Examine their intentions.
Wanting to actually understand, the lived experiences of mob and what they face every day, not even just in their health needs, but in racism as well. So,
got a final question for you. Could you tell us about any mentors or any influential figures who have guided you towards this career in health research?
It's always been like how I grew up in Darwin and around my community and the people I grew up with, family and stuff. But I think through my career, there's been some key mentors that have really helped shape who I am. And one of them was a previous manager of mine, supervisor for the Beer Mama unit at Menzies. Her name was Lydia, and she would always push me to just do the best I could do. She would push me in a lot of areas, public speaking, just personal development in general. She pushed me to, want to move to Brisbane. And I feel like those people in your career can make such a big impact on you. We're still, really close to this day. So I think I've just been lucky enough to come across a lot of people similar to how I said earlier. Mark Mayo, he was a very big influence on my younger self in that time when I was a lab trainee, being able to see, he's an Aboriginal man that was a trainee and he's, now running a whole, million doses unit. And I think, it just was exciting to see that all of those people were also Aboriginal people, like Lydia, her mob's from SA, and just exciting, and Daly River, and it's exciting to be able to relate to them and share stories and understanding, and being able to come across and work for Gail Garvey was also a big privilege. I always heard a lot about her, so I think it was the past 3 years I've worked for her has been really exciting, and the work we're doing, I think, especially in the What Matters field, is very exciting, and I'm grateful that I've been able to facilitate those workshops because national projects. So I think not many people get that privilege, and sometimes I forget it. Oh, wait, I do have a really amazing job. Everyone gets stuck into their everyday life, but I will tell people what I'm doing and they're like, sis, what? That's so good.
Yes, but you're always traveling to do these yarns.
And when I do get to go to places like Whyalla and rural Victoria and just seeing, the smiles on the kids' faces or how they warm to us is, a big privilege. And I'm just very grateful that I get to be in a place that, provides so much to me being able to learn and grow as an individual, and also bring in my community knowledge into the space. It's exciting.
Thanks so much, Tash, for joining us, and all the best of luck for your studies and finishing your Bachelor of Nursing and continuing on your career as a health researcher.
Thank you, Cara. Appreciate yarning with you today.
Thank you for your support of Nurturing Knowledge, Indigenous Health Research Stories in Podcasts. This podcast is part of OCA's collective vision to develop the next generation of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander researchers. We hope you found inspiration in this episode. If you have any questions or would like to share your thoughts, please don't hesitate to reach out to us at www.ocanetwork.org or via email at oca@uq.edu.au. Stay tuned for more enriching stories to come.